Only chat.
Okay, I can do that. Do you want me to do that right now, or should we do this later?
I think
Probably
we're
later.
live, is what we are.
Okay. Okay. Well, if that's the case.
Now, are we really alive?
I
Or are
think
dead
we
on the
are
inside?
alive.
I think we're just dead on the inside and we're pretending to be alive.
We're
for
only
our-
45
That's just.
minutes.
I think that's like 2 people of the stream.
We're
this one's
literally like 45 minutes late, but we're live.
we are wizards.
No, we're not.
We arrive precisely when we mean to, not a second moment before or after. If you're hearing this right now, that's because we're great.
That's great to hear, bud.
That response was super delayed.
I know.
Did the music make you feel good? I hope it made everyone else feel good out there. Welcome to the talk show. We appreciate y'all. I'm stealing the intro right now because I just wanted to see C4's Thunder today, just because I can. Just because we're the villains.
You don't even know what an intro is.
Yeah, you do the intro, bro. Tell the people,
take a
who
seat.
are we?
Who's
listening to us?
The Villains Talk Show. My name's Insaniac. With me we got C4 and the Greasy Boy. We might have the Elusive Gentleman joining us today. We don't know. Elusive Gentleman's elusive. He does as he sees fit, and we are all wonderful hosts doing the best we can. So welcome to the talk show. I'm gonna take a wonderful moment to shout out For the Wheel, our wonderful Patreon. We appreciate you.
Happy birthday, For the Wheel.
Oh, there you go. Special shout out.
Happy birthday.
If you want to be, a wonderful minion and check out our Patreon and get shout outs and things like this and get some exclusive kind of benefits to being part of the channel and being part of our after show kind of
Not the
deal.
elusive benefits. No one gets those.
I meant to say exclusive. English is hard for me some days, even though that's my main language.
If you want the elusive benefits, please join our Patreon or like, share, and subscribe to the video or the podcast wherever you get podcasts. Yes.
Stuff. Speaking of podcasts, we do our podcast for Sprout. So, if you want to do your podcast, wonderful things, sure, check them out. They're a wonderful place. It's for free. And, you could be doing your own podcast, talk show stuff like we're doing today.
And if you did it through our link, you would actually, directly,
show support to us.
Yeah, show support to us.
Make us,
all that side, link trees everywhere.
Check out the link tree.
We are the Villains of the Villains Talk Show. Great intro, by the way.
Thanks. I've been doing this for longer than we've been doing the talk show. Thank you.
God, we've been doing the talk show.
Check Mr. Insaniac's YouTube channel if you haven't already.
Check Insaniac. Just try to break it down to check the Insaniac's YouTube channel. If you like gaming.
Uploaded a while, but still relevant.
People are actually watching the YouTube videos. I'm live on YouTube right now because I know there's one viewer on YouTube. So hello, viewer on YouTube.
We appreciate you.
But these automatically get recorded on because I'm that lazy, and I'm so happy they do. Because
we appreciate that. Every step to take a little bit of things out of our hands sometimes just makes it wonderful.
So, Mr. Host of the Day.
What's the host of the day? I'm the host every day, every time I'm on this show. Just like you, just like the Greasy Boy. Well, today we are talking about a series of hyperbole, the Olim politics. Today, I didn't come up with the name. I wish we could have a but I didn't come up with that name.
Laugh track.
We edit things. We edit this. Oh my god!
I didn't actually edit this, but
it's not in my contract. Sorry.
Today we are talking Olim politics.
A series of wonderful things that's drawn chaos throughout the past. Couple weeks and week and a well, I don't know when the Beijing Olympics had started because I don't pay attention to sports.
How long do you think the Olympics are?
2 weeks.
I was gonna say probably a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, maybe.
Sometimes,
I really have no fucking
Greasy Boy, you need to know when to not answer because I want to hear Insaniac struggle with sports.
There's no struggle. I just make shit up every time. I have
2 weeks
no
long.
fucking clue what I'm talking about at all with sports.
So the opening ceremonies were actually last Friday in Insaniac. I know you're not a sports.
I'm
even wearing my Flames hat and my Lakers jersey.
Oh boy.
I got my Cowboys jersey up there.
Sports and stuff. Hashtag puck sports ball things and net
Anyway,
with sticks.
the reason I want to talk about the Olympics today, mostly in Olympic politics, is there is a meme picture that's been basically was posted. I found it on Twitter like 2 days ago.
I found it honestly hilarious.
And then like the next day, I saw the next day, it was everywhere. And if you should probably know, if I'm talking about the Beijing Olympics, what picture I'm talking about. But if you don't,
It's meme worthy. If you're not familiar, you should probably look up some memes.
look up the ski jumping. Look up the Chinese
The
Beijing Olympics ski jumping.
The siege jumping.
When you see it, what you'll notice is this beautiful giant ski hill in the
With a
middle
series.
of industrial district in Shuzan or Shuzan district.
But we apologize. We butcher every name we're gonna say
right
today.
next. I can actually look it up and probably get it right. I think it's the
Even if we know the name, we're just gonna pronounce it wrong every time. So.
I know how to spell it. So if I know how to spell it,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I should be able to pronounce it. But
that's okay. Don't worry about that right
in
now.
that province, the ski hill is located right beside a nuclear reactor.
And it's like several columns. What is it, like 3 or 4 that were there?
And they're cooling towers. Like it's right beside the cooling towers. Yeah. Now, if you know anything about nuclear reactors, we have talked about nuclear power on this show before. You would know A, I am for nuclear power, and B, those cooling towers are, if you know anything about nuclear power, yeah, like I said, they go right down to the rods. The rods are literally the rods of uranium that get dunked in the water so that they create the steam. That's what the cooling towers are. They literally sit right above the most radioactive part of the entire plant. That's why the cooling towers are above them.
Now I've heard on some kind of just a little bit of pretense that these might have been decommissioned. Now I have no fucking clue. So I'm not going to sit here and say like I know, but I've heard. And one of my favorite comments, to be honest, when I saw these pictures was, did they give the athletes Geiger counters?
Okay. And I mean, ha, like that's really funny. Here's my problem. Here's my first thought. There's this mountain range. Now, stop me if you've heard it before. It's called the... what's it called? Starts with an H. Oh, fuck. What are those mountains called? The Himalayas? You ever heard of them?
What are those things? Are those like a series of lakes? You mean the Himalaya Ocean? Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Himalayan Ocean. Yeah. So there's this giant Himalayan Ocean located in northern China, northern east. It's northern west China. That's we
know geography.
Technically, and then you go to Nepal, which I always forget. Nepal's an actual country, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you go to Nepal, which is right in the center of it's in the center of the Himalayas, but Nepal borders China. And you have this wonderful, massive, huge mountain range and scenic.
Where you could set up a ski hill,
No, whoa.
Well, I know that's a scary idea,
whoa there,
right?
Christopher Robin. Careful.
Putting snow next to a mountain like
Canadians
don't
give any ideas to Winnie the Pooh, or else.
Hey, Winnie the Pooh is a national treasure, sir. Let me tell you.
Not in China. Are you kidding me? He's banned.
Yo, I know. Oh, I know that. I'm not talking about everyday shit. I just mean.
Pooh. Give him all the honey.
I just want to talk about one of my favorite books in the way of Winnie the Pooh. It was called The Tao of Pooh, and I want to read the sequel. I want to read the sequel, The Tale of Piglet, but I haven't seen that one yet, but I've heard about it.
How do you know that book is banned in China?
I didn't know it was banned, but 100% makes sense.
It's so banned in China.
That's hilarious. I gave it to me after some random dude gave it to him.
Anyway. So that's what started with the conversation. But before we started in going live in our because we are late,
we're wizards. We're never late.
Just informed about a cheating scandal.
There's been a number of cheating. I guess accusations, or I don't want to say it in a way that sounds like we're accusatory in any sense, but just from the way of camera perspective. I'm going to talk specifically about currently the I think it was the speed skating event where
we have links?
I think there was
we have proof.
I'm not the link man. The link man is elusive as usual. All I can say is that there are videos out there for Twitter and things like that. As I'm sitting here talking about it, the two other hosts that are sitting there giving awkward and very panoramic stares at me are free to bring up links as they see fit.
Oh, I'm
But
looking at them. I also
but
noticed. I was just noticing that we're matching. Actually,
are
was
you?
actually what I just noticed when I looked at
I
it.
I can change the color.
No. I mean, like you're wearing a purple shirt. We're both have the same beard. It's like every day you're slowly becoming me. It's so
I thought it
great.
was the other way around. You're
except
trying
you
to
can
become
actually see
beautiful.
his hair because you're
Oh,
slowly.
yo, see,
balding.
you
That's
even
what
get
friend-
my candid wit.
I feel like you're slowly balding. That's probably why you're wearing the hat. Whereas Greasy Boy is just more confident to let his hair coiffed in the style. Oh man, did Insaniac hit a nerve here?
Was that a little too close to home there?
Oh boy. Anyways, playing off on what I was talking about, let's hope somebody brings up some mics while I talk about the wonderful things of the video I'm talking
Yeah, speed
about.
skating.
Yeah, the speed skating event. I think there was two Canadian athletes. There was a Chinese athlete, I believe. There was a Russian athlete, and there was another athlete. I don't quite know exactly the represented country they were. But during the speed skating, there was what appeared to be one of the Canadians had knocked one of the blocks that were setting up for the border. But as they looked at the motion like speed camera and looked closer, you could see one of the Chinese Olympians had actually put his hand around in front of one of the Chinese Olympians and actually slid his hand to throw it, and it got back in place super fucking quick. Like I'll command on some slick shit when I see it. That was some slick fucking shit, even though it got caught. But you got busted, and they tossed the thing and it slid underneath one of the skaters, and two of them one slipped and crashed into the other one, and they both crashed, and one person at the time was disqualified. I don't know if that's been since rechanged after the verdict has been relooked at. But also heard of another group that had taken probably potentially performance enhancing drugs. I'm not sure on that one, so I'm not gonna talk like I know about it. But it was something that I had seen a link or two pop up for.
So what I'm reading here.
Link in the chat.
Oh,
Don't read it for yourself.
This might be. Well, I was just looking through it while you were. This one is about South Korea, though. So what I was reading there is that South Korea apparently got disqualified during.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the picture. So that might be it might have been a South Korean Olympian. Then I am. Like
It's
I'm
two
not
of them,
astronaut.
and they got disqualified for no reason.
Yeah, originally it was Canadians, the Canadian Olympics, but then, as you can see from the picture, the Chinese speed skater suspect act, as pictured there, he has his hands literally on the border puck, and you don't see it because it's a still picture, but he actually slides it and throws it at one of the other skaters, and causes two skaters to spin out of the race.
I'm looking at that right now. For the third time. This is the third time they've been accused of cheating already at this Olympics.
And like I said, I could appreciate slick shit if it actually fucking went off, but
here's the
got
only
fucking
okay.
You know,
Anyone out there, whoever wants to read anything on China, wants to look at China news, anything to do with China, I will tell you now.
look at
I'll
many
tell you
sources.
now.
Don't specify to just one of us.
You want a good source. You want an actual good source that you can
There's
read.
no such thing as good sources.
No, I
these
can
days.
give you a good source right now because it's the when I did my degree and I did my term paper on Chinese relations with United States and India relations with the United States. If you want good Chinese information, 100% hard-hitting Chinese news, Taiwan news. You look at you read the Taiwan newspapers, you read the Taiwan news media, because there's only one person who does not give a fuck about China, and only one country who also cares a lot about China because they think they are China, and that is Taipei.
as the other host here, I'm going to say look up every news source you can come across, but definitely check that one out because I highly recommend it. I don't know enough about it. I'm taking C4 for
Taiwan,
what he
man.
says.
And
He's
China will do everything they
very
can to block Taiwan news.
but I would definitely use the internet. You know, it's the most powerful tool in the world. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions.
Third most powerful tool.
Second.
The internet.
Third more.
Rocks are pretty powerful.
Which one?
See? Rocks are the third most powerful tool. Second is the internet.
Yes.
I guess that's a matter of opinion, but yes, these tools sit up there with a number of perspectives of which you choose.
My gun is
The
more
third-
powerful than your internet.
Oh, I was thinking
That's highly debatable.
Insaniac was the best tool.
My gun as a tool is more powerful than your internet.
It's not a tool though. It has no tool purpose.
A gun is a tool.
It has no tool purpose.
To
What
hunt.
tool does it?
Whoa. Let's be real here.
It's not a tool.
Our
That
other
is the
host,
hunting.
C4 here, is the biggest tool we know.
That's true. He is. You know, I want to point out the most effective tool we have right now is sitting
Wow.
as the main host.
So what is
Yep,
this?
the only one who actually knows how to fix things.
You know what? Greasy boy. Everyone gets one day, and today you're fired. And I won't say anything about that. That's your second.
Shots fired. I appreciate it.
Second one today. You're fired today.
What was that about? A gun being used so powerfully?
Someone called APB out, and I hear shots fired.
That was a good shot. That was a good shot of the tools there. I like it. I gotta call that one out. Really
That
good.
was pretty good.
But one thing that I kind of want to call out to for some of the Beijing Olympics, I'm not as well aware because I'm not one that's there, but there's been also a series of protests going on for what has been called I think it's the Uruguay.
Been a single protest in China.
Yes, there's outside the Beijing Olympics. There's protests for the Uruguay genocide. There's been a number of people putting up signs. And,
sorry. Yes, they have international protests in China. There's a bunch of Chinese people, if you watch the video, protesting, what is it? They're protesting vaccination passports in Canada.
I'm talking about the Uruguay genocide specifically.
They're protesting the Uruguay genocide. They're protesting...
people protest a lot of things nowadays.
No. These are Chinese people. They are protesting the...
I also want to say the appreciation of people standing up to the Chinese government because we've seen a lot of what happens to that.
No, you're
It doesn't go
misinterpreting.
very well.
See, now this is scary. That's a very scary thing you just said.
People
Everything that you have just told me was propaganda. There is no protests in China. All those protests are Chinese people paid to protest in China about other countries, so it
Do you
looks
have links?
like... Yeah. I could show you tons.
Yeah.
Like
Let's see the links about it.
You fell for their propaganda, and that's
See, I'm
scary.
not,
That
sorry,
is absolutely scary.
I don't fall for propaganda. I'm reciting the information that I'm seeing, as I'm not aware of the full information. I stated that at the beginning of my facts.
I
I'm
know.
not stance of this is the genuine article of what's happening. I'm just citing what I'm aware of.
No,
Right. That's what our talk show is
But
about.
if you think about it, like you and I, like we look into stuff more than most people, and so it scares me as someone who I know, because I know you well enough that you don't just read things at face value.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
That's where I'm just.
What scares me? That's what scares
learning,
me.
right?
Is that they were able to word that propaganda worked so well that they caught you.
Well, see,
I only know because Jack.
I was only talking about the Uruguay genocide. That's where I
I
don't have
know.
any other further stats on that. I did look that one up before starting this, so I am aware of a little bit of that information is genuine in a certain sense. But absolutely, protesters and things could absolutely be hit off. That's not it's not a foreign concept at all. People get paid all the time for this shit.
I only know about the protest propaganda because the likeness pointed me towards it. He reached out to me and showed me. And
Hashtag go check out Just a Likeness.
yeah, justlikeness.com. That guy is
First link on the
fucking
link tree.
brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's in the
guy's
link tree.
fucking brilliant. Like I can't even. But he's the one who brought my attention to that and showed me like that there's these Chinese mass groups that have been made in the last months that have organized these massive protests during the Olympics, but they're all legal protests and all of them are about other countries. There's supposed to be a protest about there was supposed to be one about the vaccination passes in Canada this week, but that one got scrapped because of what's going on because of the Canada
I wouldn't let that
de-escalating.
one go on.
Like it's nuts. And
China wouldn't let that one go
and
on.
if
They
you're-
hate Trudeau and think he's a fucking weak
and
potato.
if you're fucking China, that's like, why not do that? Why not fund protests about other places? You just can't say a goddamn thing about the about what's inside the
That's
border.
fair. So yeah,
And that's why you haven't heard anything. That's why there's been no, like, everyone, like, I've heard a lot of boycotting about this. Like, I've barely watched the Olympics because I
heard
can't
about the boycott of the Olympics too. Yeah,
I can't even find it on television. It's so hard to find, and I have a bar, so I have to show it. So I have to pay for it, but like it's just hard to find it. And when you do, it's just like you see there's no crowds. Like you would think that even if there wasn't a boycott right now, you would go to the Olympic events in that host country, and there'd be tons of locals.
Yeah.
Watching the events, cheering on. There's nothing. I have barely. I was watching.
yeah. There's been
skating last night.
very little coverage of the Olympics from what I've heard.
Well, even that, like I was watching figure skating, the male figure skating last night, and there's no one in the crowd.
Yeah.
And that's
No
and
doubt.
that's the Chinese people.
Yeah,
That's
I've no doubt.
big. But yeah, no, you'll never hear about China protesting themselves because
So like, what I kind of want to like, in a sense of that, like I said, I just kind of came from the Uruguay part. That's the only thing I kind of had a
Speaking
sense
of
on.
which, I will get you that link.
What my kind of stance on a sense of protest, like absolutely you should hear out the message, but absolutely verify the sources and where that's coming from, the people that are organizing it, if it's a genuine effort behind it, like instead of an organized disruption of intentional issues. And that kind of segues into some of the other things that are happening in Canada, current events, as most people around certain places around the world have heard. Canada convoy. It's spread to I believe parts of Europe, Finland, in Australia, some parts of America. I have doubts that it would ever spread to China in any sense, but
So here is the link that the likeness found me. So what it is, it's an ESPN link talking about. It starts.
ESPN.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. It's an ESPN.
That's what I find funny
link.
too. Sports news.
It's an ESPN link that talks about athletes should not be protesting while they're there, and then the bottom. If you go near the middle to the bottom of the article, it starts talking about the legal protests you can participate in and what they are, and not a single one is about China.
Now, I'll take a sense of like, I don't find ESPN to be the most credible source, but the information posted is very important, so you should absolutely check it out. I'm going to check it out myself. Every information you should take with a sense of grain of salt, and no matter who it's coming from,
Gems
even
come
from
out of
us.
everywhere, right? I
Exactly.
mean, it makes sense. Like the one piece of truth that comes out of China would be sports media because they're not watching it. It's like just all the other media sources.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm gonna check it out a bit more. This is a bit more lengthy than I want to get into, right?
Oh yeah, it's a long article.
But moving into the other kind of topic we were talking about is Canadian protests going on right now. There's a number of them that have been kind of talking about mandates, and we've seen a bit of change in certain provinces, like in Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Just call it what it is. Everyone in North America who's listening to the podcast, everyone watching live now knows what we call it, knows what it is.
Tell us.
It's the convoy.
Oh, I said that. I literally said that not moments ago. Were you not? Did you not hear that? Well, actually, I'm going to say this right now. Most C4 likes to hear what he wants to hear.
That was during your last. That was during your last rant, not this tangent.
No, that was literally just as you. It was just as you were putting up the link.
Okay.
I literally just had a segue.
I will tell
during your last tangent.
I'll be honest, Insaniac. There are times where I will go back and re-listen to the podcast as I'm editing it, and I will hear you and Jeremy and Greasy Boy and Sarah all will say things, and I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, "Oh, that was a really good point. Why didn't I go on that? Why didn't I talk about that?"
Right? There's
what
certain.
What are you doing, C4? And then I say something, and I'm like, "Oh, I just didn't hear them. Wow, yeah. I'd really have a problem."
Very good introspection. Everyone kind of has that. I've actually had a friend that I've been kind of dealing with this lately, where she gets really frustrated when I'm trying to speak something, and then people get really reactionary and they start getting defensive, and I'm like, I haven't finished speaking. Like, there's still more to what I'm saying. So, like, in a sense, yeah, it's the convoy. Everyone knows what's going on with the convoy. Like I said, We've seen parts of it. It's kind of some people around the world have heard about it. It's spread to different parts of Europe. It's spread to parts of Australia. I think I might have heard parts of India. I'm not really sure. I know some Americans have kind of started participating in it, and there's gained a number of traction. Is some provinces in Alberta have started ending, and Alberta and Saskatchewan. I've also heard New Brunswick is supposed to be ending mandates pretty soon as well. And I think Quebec is Quebec is moving to supposed to be at March, I believe, is supposed to be when they're ending. I have no doubt Ontario is going to be the stubborn, petulant child. That's going to take forever.
So here's the real question, because no one's gonna come out, because we're the villains, so we're gonna do this, but no one's really gonna fucking do this. The convoy fucking worked.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no one's gonna fucking admit it. I don't want to admit it.
I actually saw it a mile away that it was going to work.
It's disgusting that it worked. The fact
that
you can have...
no one's done anything about it, like, before it even happened, was hilarious.
Well, here's the thing. I work and own
Trudeau
a
knew
bar
like a month ahead before this was coming that it happened.
Oh, the truckers have been planning it for months. They've known
about it. And Trudeau knew about it. Nobody said or done anything about it this entire time.
They didn't think
oh shit, it's a problem, guys!
Dude.
What a twist.
Our government got brought... No. To be fair to the Canadian government still has not and will not bend. But the provinces did.
Yeah. The federal government is stubborn as fuck, because as long as Trudeau's manning, he's going to be arrogant as fuck.
And because the provinces bent the knee, it's making him look bad. Even though he has no control over what the provinces do.
He's looked bad since he abandoned Canada, man. What a fucking pussy.
Don't even start. He has not abandoned Canada. I hate the guy too, but that's so
He literally
stupid.
left. They said he took him to a super location.
So has every fucking other president.
It's so funny.
Donald Trump left the country
Honestly,
when there was
hilarious.
fucking problems, when there was having that whole summer where there was riots all the time.
And that's embarrassing too.
That's absolutely embarrassing too. What form of leadership does that stand when you flee from your constituents and your citizens?
What are you talking about? It is standards of practices of any sovereign state. If your
That's
capital
a standard
city,
Secret Service.
where your leader and your commander in chief, or your king or queen, or the person you have elected in office is in danger, you move them out of that city.
I understand that the security has the job to do so.
I know,
but he still looks like a
truckers.
fucking
I know it was just truckers. But
especially since they knew the threat was coming months ahead of time. If you wanted to evacuate and set up that time, that totally was the thing. Shoot them! I love that. I love the stance of the military coming in. Shoot the protesters. You know how volatile that'll create of a situation?
No, what I'm saying is all the truckers have guns. So why and they know that.
At the moment,
so you don't want
guns
you
at
don't
home.
Want, you don't want to escalate.
None of the protesters there have any firearms. They've all been checked. They've all been through. Anyone who has had any form of weaponry has been arrested and has been charged.
Yes, except for the truckers who have registered firearms that are still in their cabs. Did you read? Make sure you learn the end of those articles. There's still hundreds of thousands of truckers across Canada that have registered weapons in their cabs that are remaining in their cabs and in their lockboxes during this protest, but that doesn't mean the guns aren't there. And
they're not worried about that.
No, they're safe. They're safely stowed. I'm not going to be one of those people that says guns are bad. They're safely stowed. They're obviously...
That's the point of being registered, right?
But you do
That's not what they're worried about.
Do not kid yourself. If you are the head of government and you need to run a country, and in reality, as much as I hate to say it, Trudeau had no control over this, because this is a provincial issue.
He just saw it a mile away.
100% provincial issue, and this is why you have the provinces bending. This is why Saskatchewan is now open. Why Alberta is now getting back open. Why Quebec is opening. Why BC is not opening. Why Manitoba is not opening. Because it is a provincial issue that Trudeau has no control over. And so you're sitting there, you're head of the government, they're asking you to do something.
I'm well aware that Trudeau, he doesn't have too much other than to try to
fuck off, because you have better stuff to do. You have an entire fucking country to run.
As someone who sets up following this political setup, the whole setup of making this the front line of what Trudeau has set up is where the problem has ended up. And now, I'm going to say that they're not worried about in the way of people having firearms. What they're worried about is losing money, as that these trucks will take a profound amount of money and time to remove. To the fact that they
Oh
had
yeah.
to actually they had to buy the Ottawa police force had to literally buy a series of tow trucks because every tow truck company
I
was
saw
not going
that.
to
Yeah,
risk
yeah.
that. Now they have no one to operate these tow trucks,
But
and they also have no one that's willing to go through these places and tear apart the 18 wheelers that have locked air brakes that are going to take, if not weeks, probably over a month to uninstall and remove
but dude,
and to legally return to all of these people.
that's all a city and provincial issue.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm
Yeah.
not
Okay.
saying that
I
at all.
don't know. And I know you're not disagreeing. I'm mostly telling
I'm just saying that that's
our
not
viewers out
the
there.
firearms they're not worried about.
It
I'm well
doesn't
aware
matter.
that
Like,
it's not that a lot of it's coming down to how municipality and provincial governments are deciding to respond to this. But at the same time, there still has a stance of, as the prime minister, as a leadership, he's literally led an influential campaign of this, and he can do the same if he felt the need to do so. Now he continues to keep the stance of what he had fallen through, and now there's like with a number of of health officials in some places flipping their mind and some people flipping in the other way. It's created more caustic unsurety
see,
between the political parties.
I disagree to a point because like for us here in Canada, every time Justin Trudeau or the health minister of Canada has made an announcement, it has always been a suggestion to the provinces. They've always worded it that way. We suggest to the provinces to do this. We suggest that the provinces should look at
Oh
this.
yeah, that's how
And
they
then the
started. Yeah.
provinces would usually fall in line. Alberta being one of the last ones too, because we live here, we know. But like, it's one of those things that always been a pressure. It's been a pressure. It's been a pressure cooker, right, from one side to
Yeah,
the other.
absolutely.
And so when people tell me like, oh, Justin Trudeau, oh, he's weak because he left, I'm like, you know what? Of all the things he's ever done, because I definitely I'm not a liberal. I don't support him, but it doesn't mean I'm going to fault him for leaving the fucking city when he's trying to lead a whole fucking country. He doesn't have time for 32,000
Oh
people
yeah,
or for
I
he doesn't have time for 500,000 people. He has to
yeah.
run a country of 36 to 40 million.
Completely understanding, and for the most part, I'm gonna say I don't know how much he runs as a figurehead, but what I want to kind of call back to in a sense is that not you're right. Like
Well, that's why
it's
it's the
all been a
cabinet.
suggestion in a certain point. The point is that what I was trying to kind of sense into is that what came with this the impromptu election, he made that, and a number of parties made that their platform for the campaign. When they made that platform for the campaign,
And he
and like I'm
lost.
talking about,
He
and
has a
I'm talking,
minority government.
hold on. I'm talking about the liberals. I'm talking about the conservatives, and I'm talking about the NDP. These parties made a stance of that these mandates, this political medical choice, is going to be the front line of our campaign, a personal choice, and they've made that politicized. That's the issue I'm discussing. Yes, before then it was a completely suggested thing, but when it became the front line of your political campaign, then it's questionable what you're leading your campaign for.
The only what I mean, you, you're right, but the only person who came out and said the vaccines are optional was whatever his name is, the conservative candidate, Peter
There,
O'Toole.
there was also Maxime Bernier. He made it a platform where he was not going to have he was
Who
going to end
cares about
mandates.
Maxime Bernier? He
That's a
barely
political party. That's literally a political party. So you can't say that doesn't make a difference. Same with the Green
is
Party.
it. Is it? Did they make 3% of the vote? I don't even think they made three. I know the Green Party is no longer a party. They did not make
Yeah,
three
I know.
percent of the vote.
I know
Yeah, they did not.
they did not match up for this one.
Yeah,
I know
they
that.
are no longer a
But
political party.
a number of these places, like this party, also made the opposite stance, right? And
I didn't
what
think
I'm saying is
Maxime Bernier did
that
either.
whole stance in general, putting that medical decision as a front line of your campaign, that's where I disagree with. I absolutely think it should be a suggestion. It should be what these protesters in my mind are saying. It's your choice, right? The point is that I'm disagreeing with is when you are forced to lose your job, your livelihood, and literally starve on the street and become homeless because of this choice. I'm one of the few that will sit there and make that choice because I know how to survive in a wilderness setting. I know how to how to survive homeless. I've never been homeless, but I'm well aware of where to find food, how to make my own food, how to stay warm. these things I'm well aware of, committed to it, and I've made those choices in my life. Everyone has to make an evaluation of what they want to choose, right? That's the whole point, and that's what I love about. I'm going to say as a Canadian, I enjoy the most is, and what I like about these protests is advocating for the choice, right? If you want to be vaccinated, fine, and if it supports you, for people who have immune issues and who are health compromised, that in a sense, you should. If you think it's beneficial for you and you think your health is at risk, by all means. Some people it might not be necessary. Some people who don't have certain problems, and there's ways to show that a lot of the medical science behind it shows that as these mutations go on, they're becoming less in severity, because the way a disease spreads, if it kills you before it gets to somebody else, the disease dies too. It has failed its job. A disease spreads through people who live. That's how it works. It can't reproduce as a disease if there's no one to spread to, and if the body dies, then the disease can no longer reproduce. So as diseases evolve, they evolve to spread. So they lose it less in danger, but they increase in contagion. So they're become more infectious, but they become less dangerous.
Whoever told you that when you die, a disease dies with you is really dumb.
I didn't say the disease dies with you. I said the disease, it can't reproduce.
That's very,
That's
very
exactly
dumb.
what you said, though.
That's
That's
a
not the
very,
same thing.
very, very dumb thing. That's
It's
just
genuinely true. When there's
No.
no cells to reproduce off of, it's yes. And not every disease operates this
It
way.
will
No,
die
that is
eventually.
incorrect.
Like
Yes.
it will die eventually.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
but-
I'm well aware that it will continue to stay on a decaying body and a corpse for a number of days.
Okay. The way you worded it, it sounded like when they die, the thing dies. So
When
I was just,
it's-
I'm sitting
no,
here and I'm
there's-
like,
we see that in nature, there's fungus. I understand that
Okay,
that
alright.
still be creatures and bacteria that feed
Yeah,
off the
yeah.
the corpses. That's not what I'm saying. We saw that with the bubonic plague
Yeah,
back
okay,
in
okay.
the literal first, probably recorded in a sense, pandemic. I understand that.
Okay,
My point
okay,
is that
just
as
clarifying.
the disease evolves,
Just clarifying. But
that's where it goes to. It's meant to become more contagious, less.
by the way,
over
Maxime
time.
Bernier and the People's Party of Canada is not an official party. They did not make the threshold.
I see. But my point of that was even still that they put this platform as something for their campaign. I disagree with that. I think
Okay.
that shouldn't have been something for platforms at all. It should have been, we're going to address perhaps indigenous reconciliation, or perhaps maybe economy inflation, or perhaps border control or gun control. The various stances that normally have set
Can
to
we
set
back up
political.
just 2 seconds? I just want to touch on something since I have a little bit of a soapbox here and you brought it up.
Yeah, stand on your soapbox.
People, if you ever want to sound smart and you want to talk about the economy, never ever fucking say the word inflation. You don't know what inflation is. And I'm saying that to everyone listening to this podcast, because unless you are a political science accountant and have taken 5 years of actual inflation in the economy,
extensive study, yeah.
you have no fucking idea what it is. I have
It's a very
some
extensive study.
small idea of what inflation is, and I'm just going to tell everyone out there, inflation is always happening.
Absolutely,
Every
yeah.
day,
That's the
everywhere.
stock market. You look at that everywhere. Yeah, the dollar changes literally all the time.
If you want to sound smart, just take inflation and throw it out the window and never say the word, and just work with economy that way. Because anyone who starts talking about the economy, if they start talking inflation, that is your word. You heard inflation, that person's a fucking idiot. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and walk away.
See, and I'm going to take
Unless they are an economist. If they are an economist, then listen. But if they are not, you wait for that word.
and I'm going to
Please
take
continue.
that. I'm going to
My
take that
TED Talk's
devil's.
over.
I'm going to take that devil's advocate for a situation to say, as much as there's the word inflation, there is also the word deflation, right? So you can use these stances in both the political situations. For those who are more versed in the economic studies and literally probably work in the stock market and motivate these things, I barely know half this shit, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But I'm well aware these things have been around. We had the Great Depression, and
Anyway,
the dollar goes up and down all the time based on products you sell. So yes, there's always an inflation and a deflation consistently throughout every day. That it does not change.
We're talking about politics. I figured you mentioned inflation. I might as well get my dig in now.
Yeah. We're the villains. We take shots at each other. Shoot me as you see fit. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, politics are fun. Politics are chaos, and
Can they
Canada's.
be fun? I'll tell you what's more fun. NFTs.
Oh boy,
You want to
don't buy
throw away
NFTs.
your money? Do you feel that you have millions of dollars or thousands or $100?
Are we gonna
I'll
start
tell you
making
what. I'll tell you
NFTs?
what. I will draw you a picture.
Villain talk show
It's
NFTs coming
it's
out soon.
non-fungible.
That'll
You
that'll be
give
our,
me
that'll be our Twitch emotions eventually, or emoticons.
thousand. We need a blockchain. We would need a. It's the blockchain that you buy. But even then,
Yeah, you know
don't
what
be
I'm hearing right
fooled.
now.
It's
Welcome,
lies.
we're gonna start the villains coin. We're gonna start the villains coin. Invest in villains
God.
coin right now.
No, shut up. No, we can actually get sued for
No.
that.
It's called
Please
Minion
don't
Coin.
say those words. No, it's all lies. For legal reasons, everything Insaniac said
Villains,
was a lie.
villains coin. Now a new wonderful thing that we are not considering, but perhaps we'll consider in the future. Who knows where life takes us? Because
Thank you.
inflation
That's-
consistently go forward. Welcome to the Villains Talk Show, where we stir the pot.
The last thing I want is for us to get famous like 10 years from now and some guy go back to this episode and be like, here they fucking said they were selling NFTs on the show.
Cancel culture is gonna hit us hard one day. I have no doubt about that. We're gonna get hit with things that we shouldn't have said, and we're like,
Have
man,
you seen how bad they
kind of
dig
talk
into
show.
people's
That's why
past?
we're-
Fuck, man.
That's why we're the Villains Talk Show. That's why we set up this. We're gonna say things you don't like, and we have a stance of we don't know what we're talking about. So if you don't like the things what we're talking
Well,
about, you're
I
welcome to
don't know what you're
disagree.
talking about.
Oh, you know what
None
you're.
of us know
All
what
the
we're
time. What
talking
are you
about.
talking
Tell me, Sports Puck. Tell me more about the things
I
that
am
you
the
know.
smartest man on this show.
Oh
Other
man,
than the
but
Grease Goblin.
But not only are you the
Yeah, I was
smartest
gonna
man,
say.
when you want to be smart, you drink Dos Equis, don't you?
That was very sexual for no reason.
No, that was the beer commercial. My goodness, how I thought you knew things. Holy goodness, what a! I think
Oh,
we just
you mean
we just.
sake. You mean
Oh
sake.
my god,
Like,
no.
like the rice wine.
Dos Equis, the most finest gentleman in the world commercial.
Dos X. Dos X.
Oh my goodness!
Dos X. Dos X.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
Dos Equis is not Spanish. Dos
I'm gonna look.
X.
I'm gonna look this up right now just so I can make
Oh my god,
I
you were
can put
saying
it-
Dos X, aren't you? You were saying the Mexican beer Dos X. That's funny.
the most interesting gentleman in the world.
Yeah. Dos X. I know what you're talking about now.
I'm sorry. English is my main
I thought it
language.
was
and I
Dos Bravo.
butcher
Okay,
that
to
in
be
every
fair,
sentence.
To be fair, I thought you were saying Deuce Eggies, and I was like, what the fuck's
No, I
Deuce
said Dos
Eggies?
Equis.
Yeah, I got that.
I'm
Officially.
pronouncing it wrong. Make fun of me for you see fit. But I was trying to make a joke of you're clearly the most smartest man in the world, so obviously you drink Dos Equis. Wow, man. My jokes are so good when we get explained them through C4's perspective.
No, I love you. I love your jokes because when you get all riled up, you fumble over your words, but you still make complete sentences that I can understand.
Somehow I still managed to know
You
what I'm
still
talking
land
about.
the
even though
sentence,
I'm
bud. It
frustrated-
doesn't
even though
matter.
I'm
It's a
frustrated
bit of
as
a
fuck.
rocky landing. You still stick it.
I meant word gymnastics are somehow my forte, even though I butcher it at every stance.
Exactly. You still as long as you stick the landing, everyone thinks it's a sentence.
I'm the most logistic man, the linguistic man ever.
This is when you go to like an airport fucking security. You're like, "Hello, ma'am. What's your name? My name is Steinberg."
I hate to say this, but Insaniac's actually right on the pronunciation.
Am I? Oh, thank God. I'm just pronouncing
Yeah.
it the way I've heard it
I
from the
just
commercial.
looked it up.
Dos Equis. I'm
Yeah.
just pronouncing it the way they say it.
I don't believe it because that's
I
not
just
how
looked
it's
it up.
No,
It's DOS
Yeah, I know that.
It's Dos
EQUIS.
Equis.
Dos Equis. That makes more sense.
Dos
Yeah.
Equis.
Oh, enunciation.
I'm not to go through the most interesting man in the world because
Uh,
looked it up on
pronounce
YouTube.
it
we're
in
the most
Latin.
interesting villains right now. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and all that fun stuff. Check out the social medias. And yeah, Buzzsprout's amazing. Do the things and stuff.
All right. So there's 3 different enunciations. There's the Spanish, British, and American. Spanish is
boy.
X, American is Equis, and British is Equus.
I like that one. I like that one.
So
I don't know who hit that stay tuned,
In
but I like that.
Spanish, twice the letter X. Yes, that's the symbol of the beer. Dos X.
Ah, there we go. We're not sponsored by Dos Equis, but
did we?
you know,
Yeah, that was 6-second clip, right? That's legal.
we're
Yes,
we're not
It was
we're
a
we're
6-second clip.
That
we're
better
we're,
be.
Very
we're
good.
not
I
sponsored.
am not
we're just,
editing that out.
we're just a fan, and we're just talking about Dos Equis because it's a podcast
Anyway,
that's
it
related
is
to our jokes.
midnight. We are definitely half an hour past our bedtime.
Actually,
appreciate
it's
y'all for being
3
here.
minutes to midnight.
You were host of the day, so you
Man.
went the show.
Am I
Speaking,
coherent today?
speaking of fumbling of words, you. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. My name is Insaniac. We're ending it tonight because we're amazing. Because C4 says he's the greasy boy.
Just immediately autopilot.
This is
Welcome
sick.
to the Village Talk Show. Wait a second, we're actually ending it.
I know the things and stuff that I say. That was intentional, 100%, and you cannot say otherwise. This was not scripted. And
We're
yeah,
all
check
so
out the Sprout.
bad today.
We love you all. Check out the social medias and stuff. Check out the link tree. Like, subscribe, all the
I'm
fun stuff. Check out
sorry,
the Patreon.
everyone out there, nothing better to do.
I'm
I'm glad
sorry,
you
I
spent
love you
it
all.
with us here.
We're the best. We're the villains. We appreciate you all.
Honestly,
Like, subscribe.
honestly, people out there in cyberspace, how do you put up with us?
We're I don't want to say that we're the greatest, but we're learning.
It's because we're pretty. At least 2/3
At
of us
least-
I was
are.
gonna say,
Yeah,
I was
at
gonna say
least-
us maybe.
least
That
admit
more,
where you're
maybe more than
still.
us.
Yeah, I'm just saying, at least 2/3 of us are pretty.
Good
I mean,
night,
there's
everybody.
5 of us on our main hosting. So.
And one of them isn't showing.
Ouch. That's